Now, you've clicked on this video, and you already know my opinion about the show. And before you guys go and say, oh well, I don't understand what a good ending it is, or how complex it is, and how I'm just too stupid or immature to realize it, I would just ask you take a moment and watch the video through and see what my inputs are, both positively and negatively, and see what you agree and disagree with. And I hope I can bring a new perspective to you. And if you still disagree, maybe point out some reasons that you felt differently, or something that you disagree with that I said, and I'm more than happy to discuss it in the comment section, or admit that I was wrong, or maybe respond with a YouTube video. I'm more than happy to have discussions with the community, because I found this show, I was very passionate about the show, right? It's not coming from a place of hate. I love Squid Game Season 1. I think it was top 5 greatest shows of all time. I'm talking like a LeBron James level good. Season 2, I think, was impeccable at building up for a good season 3. I think season 2 was a very good bridge season. It was very obviously not meant to be a standalone season. Season 2 does not bring any resolutions. Instead, I think it was kind of just constantly building up for this amazing peak of season 3 that I feel like season 3 really fell short on. So I just kind of want to go through the episodes, and I'm not going to go through every detail of every episode and nitpick, right? Because there are some good things and there are some bad things. I'm not saying this is the worst season ever. I don't think this is a Squid Game season. I don't think this is a Squid Game season 3. I think that they failed there. And honestly, in my opinion, and you'll see throughout this, I think it was kind of one of those things where it was rushed and the final idea wasn't solidified. I don't think if they had as much time as they wanted, this would have been the final season, right? I think this goes without saying, but in case it doesn't, there will be spoilers ahead. Please be aware of that and click off now if you do not want spoilers. One of the first things I noticed about the show was coming into season 3. I actually watched season 2 this past week, this last Tuesday. It is now the Sunday after Squid Game got released. So Tuesday, Squid Game season 2, I watched. Friday, Squid Game season 3 was released. Sunday, I'm reviewing it. So I remember them saying that there was less than 100 players left before they try to take over the games. And so at the beginning of episode 1, it mentions that there are 60 players left going into the hide and seek game. Okay, and going into the hide and seek game, they play the games for about 2 episodes. And then about 15 minutes into episode 3, you hear them announce how many players were eliminated. And they announce, and I quote, I typed it up, they said in episode 3 that 110 players have died, leaving 25 players remaining. Now that kind of just, I'm not nitpicky, okay? Some of you might be like, well, that's just over the top. Right, over the top, in my opinion, would be going to red light, green light, and counting how many sniper bullets were shot to see if it lines up. Right, it was such a simple error. 110 players eliminated when we started with 60 and ended up with 25. That shows you a 35-person difference, but it was 110 according to the dub and the subtitles. I didn't watch it in the original, so maybe it's changed, but I feel like the subtitles would line up with the original casting. And so that was just really, we're going to make that big of a mistake? Again, if they were 50 players were eliminated, I wouldn't have even noticed. But 100, we hadn't had 100 players in 5 episodes, right? Before the takeover, we didn't even have 100 players. We had 95. So it was or 96, something like that. I forget how it went, but it was right, it was an even number. So I was under 100. So I was this doesn't add up. And it didn't. I went back and checked episode 1, and it was at 60, minus 110, and somehow we're at 25. That one just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because it did not feel like the Squid Game I knew that was really polished. Now, going into the hide and seek episode, I actually thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think a lot of people will agree. Going into this, I was kind of having a god complex, oh my gosh, I can guess everything that's gonna happen in this episode, right? I was oh, the mom's gonna sacrifice herself, and then when she started you can stab me, I was oh, what a surprise. And then she stabs her own son. I was oh, I was this caught me complete. I did not expect her to do that at all, right? Because it was the whole time she talks about how much she doesn't know what she could do if her son died. She doesn't know how she would live on or whatever. And, spoiler alert here, she doesn't really live on that long. But still, it was so surprising to see that betrayal. But in a lot of ways, I feel like it was bound to happen. And I feel like it was... And some people might think this is a stretch. I honestly, it kind of reminded me of Sung-hoon a little bit, in the sense that he was a very smart and intellectual person, kind of like the son was, but then as the games continued, he was going to spiral. And I think the son, if they had kept him in there, would have spiraled because if he had to kill somebody. I think he would have ended up like Sung-woo. And I think there was a couple other things that were homages to Song-woo, which I will further explain. All right, so those are the first 3 episodes. Episode 4. So, okay, episode 4. That was the one where it was after the jump rope. No, I don't know. Yeah, that was after jump rope. Okay, 222's death. I think cinematic peak. Okay, and something that I noticed was they had number 333 constantly looking and being like, man, I miss my girlfriend, you know, blah blah. It broke my heart with 456. I can't pronounce. I'm gonna try to avoid pronouncing the names as much as possible because I know I'm gonna butcher them. It broke my heart when I saw 456 like try to rescue her. I knew as soon as he said it, I was like, what are you gonna do, buddy? Like, do you know how hard it is to carry somebody on your back and jump? Have you ever tried that? Like, I tried it with a friend of mine. It's impossible. I could barely get my feet off the ground, let alone high enough to jump over a rope, right? So that was surprising. You know, like that he even offered that. It was obvious it was not going to work out, but surprising how easily she accepted her fate and how she kind of gave it up. And I really thought her and 333 would have like a moment where they reconnected, and they didn't. Honestly, I don't mind that. That's not really a complaint. It was just predictable in my opinion. 125's little plot there where he became like his own hero and killed off the guy that was high on drugs in like 149. I was like, damn, I did not see that. I was really happy to see 125 stand up for himself, right? You know, that was good. You know, and it was so funny when you opened the case and there was no drugs in there. I was grinning ear to ear. You know what I'm saying? Like that was really good. I don't think Jump Rope was quite as good of a game compared to like the tile game from last season or Hide and Go Seek just a couple episodes before, but I still feel like it was a very good game. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the games, I feel like my least favorite game in my opinion was Tug of War. That one was just cheesy because it just wiped out 10 people at once. Everything else, you know, I've kind of liked. Okay, so that was season 4. And then season 5. No. Okay. So I'm stopping. I'm gonna stop going episode by episode now because I feel like the rest of my complaints are kind of like a whole thing. First off, positive. I really liked the whole thing with the masked girl and everything because I don't know if a lot of you remember when Squid Game first came out, season 1. A lot of people were like, if you grab the red card, does that mean you would have ended up as one of the people that shot people? And it's cool to see that that's not true. Whether you grabbed a red or a blue card, you would have ended up in the games. You know, it seems like the red people they investigated before they brought them in. Like, I don't think they played Dochi with him. Because when he was talking to, her name's Noelle, I think, he was like, when I went to visit you in the hospital bed, right? I don't think he's playing Doji or whatever in the hospital bed. I was like, that's kind of surprising, right? It doesn't, no way. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Now back to my complaints. The cop plot line was so unbelievably frustrating to me. I feel like they just recycled it. Like season 1, it was like, oh, he's gonna be important, and then he died off. I thought he was permanently dead there. Then he comes back to then again be irrelevant. Like if they had taken the cop out of the whole thing, nothing would have really changed, right? And some people will be like, this is a realistic show or whatever, and that's their counter defense for the ending. My counter for that ending, right, is that realistically, a cop would say, hey, my brother is running the games. You know, unfortunately, he's kind of switched sides. Could you try to keep him alive because I want to be, you know, friends with him? But if not, you know, whatever. That wasn't realistic to me, and that would have prevented the whole 001 thing. But I feel like they had a bug in gi-hun's, 456's building because they knew exactly where his cache was, right? Another thing, I was scrolling my phone to make sure. Daeho's storyline was another one that fell completely flat. Season 2, they're building him up, and I kind of knew something was off. Because end of the season, he was acting weird, right? With the whole gunfight. But on top of that, when he mentioned hanging out with his sisters, he had this big smile. And then when he talked about his dad with the Marines, his like face dropped. So that was odd. the way he just like fell apart. Like, I feel like a tattoo parlor would not give a Marine tattoo to somebody that wasn't a Marine. That's just stolen valor, right? And so that was, again, another one of those things is like, this feels like a cop-out. Like, like, they built up such a good, interesting story with him, and like, whoa, what's happening to him? To just cop out, oh, he was a fake Marine. Who gets a huge, entire arm tattoo of something that they're not, right? That's crazy to me. That was crazy to me. I was very let down by that. 125's whole arc, I saw a lot of people being like, I didn't really like 125's character. I disagree. In fact, 125 was one of the few positives I have about the season, right? Because he wasn't a main character. He was never meant to be a main character, in my opinion. They gave him a little bit of screen time. And in that screen time, you're able to see, quite frankly, what a real human in the games looked like. Like, he didn't save a girl he just met. He loved her, I think, but he didn't save her because he's a human, and he got scared and was like, I'm gonna save myself over her. And it was nice to see with the drugs how it haunted him, and I really wanted them to do like a visit, like, oh my gosh, she came to visit him and they reunited in the afterlife. But the show wasn't that type of show, but they were able to sneak that in with drugs, like, oh, this is just one of his hallucinations. But I think that was really what, like, I feel like that brought his character together. Like, that was a happy ending for his character, in my opinion. Like, sure, he died, but to him, he didn't die. He was reunited with the girl that he lost, and he felt so guilty about. Like, that was a very good ending for him, in my opinion. Like, that was a perfect character ending for me. Oh my goodness, I forget her numbers right now, but the trans girl, I was so sad, bro. She was so OP. They had to nerf her. Like, that whole thing, a lot of people were like, well, how is 3... Like, a lot of people online I'm seeing, in my opinion, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, 333 because he's attractive. They're defending him. They were like, well, how is 333 supposed to know? Well, first off, the numbers are on their back, and second off, the girl has been hanging out with the pregnant lady the whole time, 222. So, you should know that she's not going to just switch up on 222, and you should read the numbers before you go stabbing. In my opinion, because he could have stabbed 222 and never known if he's saying like, oh, I didn't read their numbers or whatever. You know, feels like a flaw in my opinion. Another flaw is I feel like they searched way more aggressively last games. Like, I feel like they would have noticed if a girl had a knife in her hair tie and somebody had multiple pieces of acid in a necklace. Like, the whole acid thing was just like, what the hell is why are we having people tripping out on acid? Or whatever it was. It's like, why are they tripping out on drugs in the middle of a game? Right. Now, I'm probably missing some things. Let me double check. Oh, yes. Why did Player 100... Okay. Now, I'm going to tread into the hot water here of the finale. Okay? My review of the finale is starting now. Okay? So going into the finale, the game was called Squid Game, but it wasn't actually Squid Game. It was nothing similar to the actual Squid Game premise like in Season 1. It was not the physical Squid Game, so I don't know why they called it 3 Squid Games in a row, right? That made no sense to me. But maybe I don't understand the complexities of it. So, first little thing, they try to push gi-hun off. They're like, wait, he has the baby. I hated the fact they made the baby a player, right? Because if they made a baby player, I feel like, listen, there was a contract that had to be signed for you to be a player. The baby didn't sign it, so the baby couldn't be a player, in my opinion. The baby was technically another player. 222 came back, so that means there should be another 100 million added to the pot. The baby won 456. It should have been 457, 45.7 billion, but they won 45.6 billion because it was another number of player. And to have a baby, they wouldn't let it vote because it doesn't have the ability to vote or capacity to vote, but yet it's in the games. How is that fair? Right? That doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever. It was like, oh yeah, let's add this baby. No, why would you add the baby? Doesn't sign the contract, nothing. It makes no sense to me, right? Because the whole premise of having the people there was, these people are broke, they're scum, who cares what happens to them? The baby wasn't broke. The baby had no debt. It wasn't scum. I don't feel like it should have been suffering like that. Anyways. Oh, yes. Also, I hated the whole heart doctor thing. They caught it first season. They should have caught it third season. Like, what's happening? Anyways. Oh, yes. Another thing. Before I go into the finale. Gi-hun meets the front mask player. And when he meets him, they have about 5 sentences altogether. I was completely caught off guard because, quite frankly, right, and I went back and watched this. Gi-hun and player 001 from last season, from the first season, I mean, they had an in-depth conversation about the games and why he was the way he was and his name and his life. And pretty much just everything about himself. Like, they had like a 10 to 15 minute discussion, right? And this guy was right there. I would say maybe even closer than 001 because he tried to work with him, right? 001 was kind of like, he wasn't really as senile as the second 001. Like season 2 001. Season 2 001. And Gi-hun had a lot of complex conversations, which I'd hope would lead to almost an episode of them debating philosophies with flashbacks from both sides to kind of support their ideologies. And I didn't get that, and I was very, very let down by that fact, right? Like, I was really hoping to be like, wow, this is really interesting to see the different perspectives and see an amazing debate where they discuss the reflections of humanity. And the trailer almost led to that, but then it wasn't that, and I was like, this is very disappointing. And then finally, we had the final episode. On the top, the first poll, okay, they have like a bajillion NPCs, player 100, 333, and then 125. They tried to make this like snarky character, I think it was like 208 or whatever, important, but it was like too late in the game for us to care about him. Like, they tried to make him a main character, like the second to last episode was like, who is this guy? Why should I care about what he's saying? You know what I'm saying? So, first one, high guy gets pushed off, and he's reunited with a girl. Cool, you know. Alright, we're gonna do the pole thing again. Alright, Gi-hun uses his knife, slashes the thing, right? We don't need to understand the plot very much. Okay. So they use the pole, they run at Gi-hun, he says dodge, Gi-hun dodges, the other guy gets killed. Okay, so at least 333, Gi-hun, 100, and then 4 or 3 NPCs. Okay, 3 NPCs. So they take one of the NPCs and they beat the living crap out of him. They break his legs. He's coughing up blood. They break his legs. He's beat to a pulp. Okay? And then they're like, no, we're going to draw strings. Everybody except the baby. And so they start fighting the 2 guys. First off, completely irrational. Why are we fighting these 2 guys? Okay. Boom, 2 guys. Dead, whatever. So we have player 100. We have the lunchbox, 333, 456, and 222. Okay. So, for some reason, we push off 100 randomly because he's yapping too much. That makes no sense. Why wouldn't you wait till the next round? Somehow, the lunchbox manages to crawl, even though he just got beat within an ounce of his life, to the corner and jump off. Again, selfish. Doesn't make any sense. And the 100 thing was one that pissed me off the most. Because a lot of people are like, well, it's realistic. It's a reflection of capitalism. Well, no. Stop making the ending something it's not. The ending was, let's just kill off a bunch of characters you don't care about, and then just randomly start killing way too many characters, right? And a lot of people are like, well, 333 wasn't actually going to kill his baby, right? He wanted Gi-hun to stay on the other side of the bridge, so technically the next round, so here's what happened. If Gi-hun stayed on the pillar 2, the bridge would have closed, Gi-hun would have been killed, and then the door for the third round would have opened. So then it would have left the baby and 333. And I did not see 333 sacrifice himself for the baby. Okay, so eventually it's Gi-hun, 222, and 333 on the island together, right? On the final piece. And so 333 and 456 are fighting. And during one of the parts of the fight, he tells Gi-hun to back up. And Gi-hun walks right beside the button, okay? And he wraps his arm up, and instead of pressing the button, he starts fighting this guy, okay? And then, again, I'm going to argue this point that I keep seeing reiterated on TikTok all the time. it is not a reflection of real life, because if it was realistic, like you guys are claiming, he would have died hanging off of the edge because you stabbed in the hip and the arm. If he's stabbed in the arm and the hip, he is not dead hanging like this with somebody's body weight. He's dying. There's no way. The pain would have been too much. He would have tapped. His hand would have slipped. Okay? There's no way it wouldn't have. Or, to further prove my point of it's unrealistic, if the guy is hanging like this, grab Yoon's arm instead of just holding onto the jacket. Pull up with the jacket, grab his arm. Okay? And to further prove my point of how bad I think Season 3 is, if they had both fallen off the edge there, then the game would have ended with no winners. And from what I can tell, there's this website that has all the winners since 1984. I don't know if that's official or not, but in the past, it's never been possible for all players to be dead by the end. There's never been a season where it can't be a winner. But this season, with its final game having so many rules, so you have to cross the bridge and then press the button for the round to activate, and then you have 15 minutes before you start the next round. The third round did not have 15 minutes. It had 10, which was weird because it went 15, 15, 10. If it had gone 15, 10, 5, that would have made sense. 15, 15, 10 does not make sense. It should have been 15, 15, 15. But then you can argue, well, maybe the bridge, because it was holding out for 5 minutes. The bridge thing was stupid. Why did they set a timer for the bridge 2 minutes after the bridge had been opened? It's beyond me, because the timer was like randomly added after the bridge. It's not like the bridge came out, 5 minutes to go. It was like, bridge came out, well, now you have 5 minutes, right? And I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. The button did not make any sense. It was an easy cop-out, and it was so obvious as soon as they introduced it, somebody's going to forget to press the button, and it's not going to count, right? So stupid, because you're telling me, oh, all the players have to be across the bridge and hit the button and do stuff for 15 minutes. What kind of bull crap, boring ass final game is that, bruh? Because, like, for example, in the first season, it's impossible for both of them to die. It's impossible, right? Impossible. But we're gonna be like, we're gonna have this one where it could die. Because if gi-hun had fallen off, the baby wouldn't have been the last one left. Press the button, and what? Nobody would have pressed the button, and then the baby would have gotten shot, or the baby would have had to press the button and then kill itself. What? And also, I mentioned this earlier. 333 reminded me a lot of Sung-woo, with the way that he was like, he was smart, and as the last game went, his whole character made no sense to me, because the whole time it was like building up to be like, oh, maybe he got scammed too, he's just trying to make up for his past mistakes, you know, and it kept showing, oh, he's about to do good, and then they would just be like, nah, actually, he's not. Like, oh, he's doing great, oh, he just murdered the best friend, oh, he's trying to do better, and now he's trying to kill his baby. Like, Season 2, 333, and Season 3, 333 are two different characters. And even first half of Season 3 to second half of Season 3 are two different characters. Because why is he saying, kill me so you and my baby can survive, to, I'm going to kill my baby to win? Like, the characters switched up. Some of the storylines were rushed. Why was 001 taxidermied in the closet? You know, that was kind of weird. Pretty much the whole number 11 returning to burn the papers was useless because they blew up for the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard storyline pretty much meant nothing because by that point the games had already ended. Right? And some people are like, well, it represents that the games will be over. These people are so rich they can afford to play with $45 billion every year and house people. You don't think, and they pay for their own private helicopters. You don't think building another island is out of their, like, building another island's out of their price range, but a helicopter isn't, and paying billions of won per year isn't? You know, like, no. It represents nothing. It was a cop-out because they made a poor storyline with the cop. Like, in Season 2, they found an island with an exploding door on it, and then, like, that island had nothing to, I don't know, it was just, like, a waste. Right? And some people are like, well, it's realistic about, I see this comment a lot, and it's going to be copy and pasted into my thing. This is one long essay about, like, how the ending was perfect, and gi-hun says, we're not horses, we are humans, humans are blah blah blah. And it's the same long comment that's like 2 paragraphs long, which I will be deleting every single one and reporting your account if you put that. Don't even start with me. I will delete and report that comment. Anyways, that's what I was saying. It's it's not realistic to me at all, because you're telling me the man could hold on for dear life and fight a bunch of people and all this, and then he dies to a cop out. Like, I agree he would kill himself with the baby, right? If you go back and watch my YouTube short, I literally predicted that he was gonna die, but this death felt meaningless, and the build up to it was just a waste, right? Like, it was a stupid death, and it didn't, like, a lot of the deaths I don't feel like were as good as season one's. They were just kind of like, well, we need to start killing people, so we're just gonna immediately kill them, right? I feel like the best death they had was 125, so that was beautiful. Everything else is kind of meh. And 456 was like, man, this is stupid. If you just didn't press the button, then the Coast Guard would have came, right? And the Coast Guard are sitting there, why not end the games early? You know what I'm saying? If the front man cares about him so much, why not end the games early? You know, oh my gosh, the Coast Guard's here, we have to get out. 456 and 222, you both win, blah, blah, blah. Goodbye. You know, but say he's like, no, let me play this out. What? It was horrible. It was horrible. And honestly, it'd be kind of cool, and this is just me dreaming. I would put money on the line if Netflix did a player vote, like in the Squid Games, to see if they should remake season 3. It would win, because it was a horrible season. It was horrible. The storylines were burnt and just completely forgotten about. It was choppily made, in my opinion. Like, kind of just made to make money, in my opinion. And the ending was rushed and super expected. Like, wow. The baby was a cop-out. The baby was a cop-out. You know, what if gi-hun had fallen off the edge? Realistically, that was a possibility. Then what, nobody wins? And even the VIPs thought he had won. Like, it was such bull crap. Like, if the VIPs think he's won, why not just let him win? The VIPs were literally like, oh, look, he's over. He won twice in a row. Has that ever happened? And it's like, we can vote to add players, but we can't vote to let 456 win. And everybody's like, well, his final act was defying the VIPs. No, it wasn't. If you believe that, you're deluding yourself. The VIPs literally predicted he would jump off the edge. They took their glasses down, not because they were amazed they did it, but because they were bored. The dog that they were playing with, the toy that they had played with, did what the toy was supposed to do. They did what the toy expected, and they weren't satisfied with that. They're not, wow, this guy's impressive or anything like that. He was a toy, and they did exactly what they wanted him to do. He sacrificed himself. They expected that. They wanted something unique. They didn't get something unique. Everybody's like, he sacrificed himself. He's so heroic. No, he isn't. He got played. He didn't do anything. And it's a cop-out. His life should have meant something. He was a multi-billionaire. Saying it's realistic. No, the fuck it isn't. What's realistic is the multi-billionaire having the 12 ex-Marines he hired show up and wipe the crap out of this island. Not the ex-billionaire dying a non-existent death. Well, it's just late-stage capitalism reflection. He was the top of capitalism. What are you, like, everybody's just coping so hard with the fact Netflix gave us a bad show. They gave us a bad show with a bad season because if they had a good ending, nobody would watch the America one. If they have a bad ending, people are going to crave more Squid Game because they're unsatisfied with how the last one ended. And that's going to get them more sales. That's what I strongly believe that. And I will stand by that. They made a bad ending to promote Squid Game America because when there's a bad ending, you're going to continue to watch. If there's a good ending, nobody can watch it. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this with like healthcare and stuff. You don't, healthy people don't pay the bills. Sick people pay the bills. Unhappy people pay the bills. Happy, satisfied people do not pay the bills. If they had been satisfied with Squid Game, they would not need to watch Squid Game America. And that's why they made a shitty ending, okay? I'm willing to discuss it, but a lot of you are just trying to cope with a bad ending. I meant to say this last night. I just got a little worked up towards the end there the more I thought about the show. But thank you guys for watching. I know this is one of my longer videos, and I really appreciate you guys watching it through. I hope you guys have a great one, and please feel free to comment. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.